All right, ladies and gentlemen, jury members of all flavors, it is time. Time for me to answer all your questions. You guys got me really thinking with some of these questions, and I sat and I typed out quite a bit in response. I have a whole document where I bullet pointed like each of your questions and shit, and separated the answers to each of them. Yada yada, whole lot of thinking, whole lot of typing. So hopefully these answers do good for you guys. If there's anything at all that like doesn't satisfy your needs and you want to know a little more and you want me to expound on some stuff, don't be afraid to ask. Obviously I won't, do a whole other writing out a script and recording that shit. I'll just answer in your questions channel. But I hope this covers it all. I really, really do. So to begin with, Sophie, I wanted to address. I know it wasn't like one of your questions, but I wanted to address it since you brought it out. When you said you wanted to make me aware that all the DMs that you and Hunter had, none of it was pregame and none of what Jonald said was true. However, you guys were working as a pair since the second swap tribal. Good lord, I can't speak. Every move you made in the game was so you and him could sit at the end together. You were the leak about the plans the whole time. All of that stuff. So my response to that is ultimately I knew you were working with Hunter through the game. It was kind of really obvious, and I assumed you were working with Bailey as well. I knew that the tie there was a lot closer to Hunter than Bailey, but it seemed a bit obvious that you were working with them. So that definitely kept me on my toes the whole game. It made me decide that I needed to try and solidify the best alliances that I possibly could with people, so that I could also set myself up for being the one to sit here at the end. You were my number one through this game. You really, really were. But you were also my unspoken, at least to you. My confessionals got a little bit of it. But you were my unspoken, my silent rival through this whole thing. I knew you were a major fucking social threat, and I knew I needed to get on top of that. I needed to either get on top of it or keep myself afloat long enough to get past you. I was really working to try to outperform you socially with my connections throughout the whole season. And also, as for you saying that you promised Hunter the vote tonight, but you don't think that's fair and everything's off the table, I really, really, truly do appreciate you giving me the chance to actually argue my side and potentially get your vote. Ultimately, if you do still give Hunter your vote, no hard feelings, nothing. This is just a game. Totally understand. I don't take anything personally at all. So no worries either way. But thank you so much for giving me the chance to fight for my spot to get your vote, really. All right, so as for your first question, or your first point, you said that you think I played a strategically weaker game than Hunter did. While my narrative and my speech was great, you think that the perception of the game was wrong. So you want me to explain to the jury one move that I made that was 100% mine, because all the moves that I described in my speech, in your mind, could be attributed to you and Hunter, with Hunter being the brains and you being the social connections that brought him to life. The move on Colin was my move in a sense, yes, but you and Hunter had already decided you weren't going to fight me. So I definitely understand perceptions can be all over the place, considering, we were playing our own game socially behind each other's backs with, different DMs, different alliances, that kind of thing. So, my perception of how the game went might be different than yours, might be different than Joe's, might be different than Raven, all that stuff. I totally understand that. On my side of it, I can straight up admit, my game was weaker than Hunter's. I know that for a fact. It was weaker than plenty of people, honestly. It's kind of why I'm surprised that I'm the one sitting here at Final Tribal Council. Part of me, I knew that I could do what I needed to do to make it, but I wasn't fully confident in myself making it here. But obviously that lack of confidence didn't stop me from trying. So I to address things, I was basically very much near the bottom the whole season. I'm well aware of that. Like, I had good alliances set up, good relationships set up, but like very clearly I was not in control of votes. I was not in control of where a lot of things went. All I could do was try to influence them, and influence people and work on my alliances, my relationships to get myself further. So let's see. Sorry, I'm probably gonna space a bit because I'm trying to like go through the notes that I have and everything and explain it. So yeah, shit. So yeah, I worked really hard to stay close with Hunter and you throughout this game, but definitely Hunter, to keep myself alive. So where I wasn't the biggest driving force behind the votes, I did want to try to shift things my way or solidify a forward plan with Hunter at the very least. I definitely felt like the Joel and Lola votes were heavily due to me. Not 100% because of me, because it was an alliance effort, you know. A lot of these things, a lot of these votes, even with like how you said on your side of it, Hunter was the brains and you were the social connection. Neither one of you was the person 100% in control of the votes. Like, none of us in this game were. We really weren't. It was a group effort on all sides, the way that everything went. So I ended up where the Joel and Lolo votes weren't, 100% me. I did a lot of snooping after things went the way they did, and I know you did as well. You and I both were very much on top of trying to get information out. And so I brought back a lot of info on things that were said from both parties and what was done and when. And I was trying to get things really set up and solidified so that at least nobody would try to flip the vote another way. I was a little bit suspicious of you at that point because with the Kurt vote, you were really, really quick to jump on when I was trying to flip the vote to get Joel out. You were very quick on, while everyone was really timid and being railroaded into voting since Joel voted first and no one was certain if it was actually him or who would get a target on their back for flipping the vote. You very quickly jumped on like, oh, well, should we all just vote and get it over with? Like, that kind of, that ticked a little suspicion box, a little paranoia box on my end. That made me decide to keep a little bit of a closer eye on you. Further proved that I needed to work with you and like make sure that I didn't get on the outs with you at any point. So I did the work to try to make sure that there wasn't going to be any kind of vote flipping and to make sure that Joel and Lola were the next two to go out, and they were. Again, not 100% because of me, group effort, but I feel like I was a big part of that. So Colin was also a group effort. Like, I appreciate you wanting to give that one to me, but that was a group effort because, like, a big thing was I wanted Joe out. Like, everyone knows I wanted Joe out real bad the whole time. I felt like he was a big threat to us, to everyone, honestly, and I wanted him out. But Colin was the only option that we really had, the only viable option we had in front of us that wasn't going to hinder our game and hinder my game in any kind of way. So that one was definitely also a group effort. And so there's that. I mainly wanted Joe out. Things came down to, in a lot of places, some give and take between Hunter and I. Obviously, as you know, and as I've stated in my speech and stuff, but this is for the other jurors, there was a lot of clash between Hunter and I. That was an interesting dynamic to work with, where Hunter ended up being in control of a lot of the votes because, he had our alliance and then he had the alliance on the side of like Colin and Joe and Bailey. Him and I ultimately, we wanted the same forward plans, just different orders of operation. So it came down to give and take. Like, we would clash for like 2-3 hours, just stressing ourselves out beyond any reasonable fucking means. That's why we ended up in the alliance with me, Hunter, Sophie, and Bailey. I think it was either that or it was in the class chat, but I think it was in the alliance. We had the go touch grass rule that we had after every vote from that point forward, because Hunter and I would clash really hard for different reasons on votes. So we had to have some give and take on realizing that, you know, we could still work together despite not being 100% in line with the other, and also the fact that we did want the same things just at different times. So it's not like we were like stabbing each other in the back and like not on the same side. We just we had to navigate that, which ultimately led to a lot more trust being able to be brought forward. It was an interesting dynamic. It was really nice. The way that got to work out in both Hunter and I's favor, but definitely in my favor as well, because Hunter was more padded to make it to Final Tribal Council than I was. So from there was a lot more strategy that came out between the two of us. So I know, again, you had your plan, Sophie, to be here with Hunter instead of me. But I was working the whole time behind the scenes to do things to ensure that Hunter trusted me and wanted to go to Final Tribal Council with me instead. So I ended up being presented opportunities and information from Raven and Colin to take you out. And where I could have done that, I didn't. I decided to stay loyal to you. That was, you know, I liked you better than everyone. You were my number one, and also, you know, that would have killed my game. As I had explained to you before, when I reassured you I was not voting you, that would have absolutely killed my game. We were working on very tense, like, one number majorities against the other side. Had I taken you out, then it could have been a rocks situation sending me home, or enough people. Like, if you were gone, I felt like Hunter would have jumped on board with, like, Colin and Joe and Bailey and would have just taken me out. So I needed you alive. I needed you here, along with Hunter. So I used the information that I got. I explained to Raven and Colin my position on everything and, like, how that would kill my game to take you out, despite how badly they wanted a move to be made against you because of how dangerous you were, how big of a Final Tribal Council threat you were, and you absolutely were. Like, I had told you before, you would have swept us here. Absolutely. Like, you're fucking amazing. Everyone loves you. You played damn hard. You would have swept the Final Tribal Council. You would have won. So, I got the information, how you mentioned, you know, that you were the one behind the idol being played that got Shane out. That was some of the information that I had ascertained quite a few tribals ago, and I made sure I didn't let you know that I knew about it. I figured that would blow up my spot pretty hard if I had told you. But I immediately came to Hunter, and I let him know that I had found out about that. And him and I had worked out a plan to take you out. We were going to, like, the plan mainly came from Hunter on, like, the win. But, like, we were both on the same page that basically you and Joe needed to go. And you were supposed to go out earlier than you did. You can thank Joe for for keeping you alive. Because Hunter had ended up basically, or I guess it was both of us, but Hunter's the one that, you know, brought forward the idea, and we talked it through and came up with the end goal that if it was a final three, that it was going to be me, him, and Bailey together. Because Bailey would have been someone easy to have sitting beside us, where Hunter and I would have more of an equal chance to win against one another. We were both kind of afraid of losing to someone, but at the same point, part of me had really wanted to have a final three with me, you, and Hunter together, honestly. Like, I feel like if anyone deserved to be here with us, it was you, with how well you played. Even if, like, even if you were the only person to get a vote and Hunter and I didn't get a single vote, I would have been okay with that, honestly. Like, you deserve it. You deserve to be here. You really do. So I have gone a little bit off my script. I have a tendency to do that. Don't mind me. All right, so the plan to take you out. Joe's immunity's got in the way of that. Okay, so to address the side of, Hunter being the brains and you being the social connections, I had the same role, which again goes in line with, we were doing work behind the scenes that, neither one of us saw on other ends. I played the same role. I was close to Hunter like you were, and yes, things happened on a side where both of you wanted instead of what both Hunter and I wanted for a lot of the parts, but I was able to play the social connections on, like, how you were the social connection for his end with, like, Joe and Colin. I was that with, like, Raven and Dawson and them. I was able to play the same kind of role that you did. And I ended up getting information that was good strategic leverage to help solidify my position with Hunter here at the final two instead of you. You were absolutely a bigger force in that manner, in that respect, than I was. But I was doing a lot of social and strategy work that I kept off of your radar to get closer to Hunter. I did what I felt I had to do to ensure my survival and my seat at Final Tribal Council, and here I am. Somehow I pulled it off. All right, so the final question. You asked me to break down for the jury why Hunter's wrong to think of me as easy to beat. You want me to give him a proper run for his money here. So I guess some of the stuff that I talked about goes in line with that. But what I have for the answer for that, a simple starting point to just begin answering the question is the fact that I am here at Final Tribal Council with him. If I was easy to beat, I wouldn't be sitting here. I played hard. My social game was my biggest aspect and my biggest saving grace. I had options to work with a lot of people throughout the season. I could have made attempts to flip things different ways at different points in the season if I had wanted to, but I was loyal to the two of you, and I saw the most secure future moving forward with you two. So I was able to instead leverage relationships to ascertain information, vital information, to get an idea of where certain people sat in what positions throughout the game, who was a target, who was a threat, where, and why. So I did a whole lot of social work. I am where I'm not good at challenges. I'm easy to beat in that regard for the most part. I'm not an easy social person to beat. So yeah, I got information and stuff that benefited my game very heavily, influenced the way that I ended the season, which was 100% with Hunter. Because initially, honestly, before I even found out about you with the idle play on Joe, I was going to, like, my plan was to make Final Tribal Council with you. Honestly, like, if it was a final two, if it was final three, like I said before, I wanted me, you, and Hunter, all three here. But that information was very vital and gave me a whole new direction forward. It gave me a whole new plan of what I needed to do to stay alive and to have a good chance of sitting here and potentially winning. So I, like I said, I played a very good social game. I also, with social stuff, I spent a lot of time sacrificing a lot of important real-life duties just to sit here and make sure that things were headed the direction I wanted, to make sure that things were going a way that was going to benefit me in my game. I threw away hours of time that I was supposed to be working or relaxing, taking care of my mental health. I threw away a lot of time I was supposed to be doing important stuff to make sure that this game moved forward for me, that I was moving forward with it and getting where I wanted to be, and despite, going against Raven all the time, I was close enough to get the information directly from her. I had damn near not even damn near, I had no relationship with Joe. But yet I was, being scouted to be the person to flip and vote you out with them. I was approached directly by Colin about it to be the one to flip and vote you out. You know, we had talked about it. I explained to him the same thing I explained to Raven, you know, where my game lies at, you know, what was going to help me, what was going to harm me. So, you know, I had a lot of good social stuff going on. Let's see. Gave Hunter the information. I already mentioned that. We talked about taking you out eventually. And I knew that he wasn't even just playing me, like where I knew you both were working together. I knew he wasn't playing me whenever he talked to me and agreed with me about taking you out, because of the fact that after Bailey was voted out, when I made the mention of the three of us going to Final Tribal Council together, he immediately came to me and he said, "Hey, how genuine were you about this? Like, I don't think Joe's going to get any votes. We could take him to Final Tribal Council instead. You know, are you absolutely certain that you want to take Sophie with us because she'll beat us?" Like, he got really worried. So I knew that he was on my side from that instead of yours. So I had put in the work there, and I kept making sure to put in the work there. But at that point, I was worried that Joe was going to beat us. I didn't want to bring Joe to Final Tribal Council after this whole time of him doing, you know, not being here. I don't want to say doing nothing because that sounds harsher. I know he was dealing with real life stuff. That's important. So him just not being able to be here as much. I didn't want to bring him and have him win with that condition after the game that you played. So I was going to fight to have you go with us. Thankfully, it didn't take a whole lot of talking or any clashing on that point before we both were settled on bringing you with us. And then immediately we got that little tip off that it was going to be a final two. Yeah. So I guess to circle back around, that was a lot of rambling. I do a lot of rambling. I am so sorry that you have to sit through this. So where I feel I'm not, so I feel I'm not easy to beat because I'm really good at social connections and information in the game. You know, I know how to get information. I know how to play double agent with people. I know how to strategize with the right people and bargain my way to the end. I know how to do all the social things that I need to do to carry myself to the end. You know, this is my second Final Tribal Council in a row. Every org that I play, my placements are better and better and better and better every time. Like, I'm not that easy of a person to beat. I'm really not. As much as I don't have confidence in myself because of the fact that people tend to get along with other people better than me, and other people will definitely outperform me in most challenges, not all, because I have done some damn good challenges this season. Despite not getting any singular wins, I still did really good for my normal self, you know, my normal performance. So, you know, I'm not an easy person to beat. My social game has always been really good. I am very, very, very well equipped to bring myself farther with social connections. So that is ultimately why I don't feel like I'm an easy person to beat, whether Hunter thinks I am or not. But that was something him and I had talked about as well, that we were both on rather equal ground, honestly, for this. You know, we have different connections in different places that could easily get each of us almost equal votes, whether we answered any questions, did any speeches or not. And then you add this on top of it, that could sway things either way for either of us. You know, we both have a good chance. As for my my challenge presence, where, yeah, most of the time I am easy to beat, there were a few times where I did really good. Like, I came close, really, really close in the multi-part challenge to dethroning Joe. I know the hosts didn't update it, but it is in my submissions, where I was in, I think I was slated in last with the time because they forgot to snowflake my time. I was actually second place. I was really, really close to beating Joe that challenge. I outperformed you and Hunter really hard that challenge. I was third in the paintball challenge. I managed to snake my way throughout the whole thing without seeing a single person. Like, I'm good at guessing movement strategy stuff and looping myself in ways to, you know, not be caught. And I managed to do that until I was in the final 3. It was me and Raven and Joe, and I happened to get the room that was a fucking puzzle. I'm assuming it's the room determined what the challenge was. So I happened to get the room that was a fucking puzzle, which would have been fine against Joe, but I got it against Raven. Raven was busy working on developing a game and still beat me. Like, I got the puzzle done within 4 minutes. Every other puzzle challenge I've ever done has been 20 minutes minimum. I got this one done in 4. I felt confident, especially because Raven was really busy. And then Raven pulled it out, I think, in like a minute 22 or something. So that kind of burned my chicken a little bit. But either way, I was still the final 3 for that whole challenge. And then I annihilated the dodge punch claim challenge. And you did too, honestly, Sophie. Like, you held your own longer than you were supposed to. Because people were supposed to be awake and come relieve you of duties, and you did really well, but I also did really, really well in that challenge. Like, that was my absolute favorite challenge, and I feel like I annihilated it. We as a tribe annihilated it, but I definitely annihilated it when I was around. So, yeah, I also, with that one, I kept myself up for hours past when I was supposed to go to sleep, and I woke up early to continue it. Like, I was dedicated to it, so this is all the answer why I'm not an easy person to beat. Why, you know, I do deserve my spot here. I have done a lot of good shit this whole game. All right, so there's that rant for all of Sophie's questions done. That was a lot longer than the already long answers I had written out. Once again, I'm sorry. I have a really bad habit of just rambling because I have a whole idea typed out in front of me, and then my brain thinks of other things and pops it out, and then I have to grab onto it and speak that and let it go and keep doing that and then go back and find where I was. So yeah, on to Colin's questions. So Colin asked, for both of us, what do you think is your best strategic play in this game? What do you think is your worst? Do you regret anything you did? If so, do you wish you could have done anything differently? Or what do you wish you could have done differently? What's the biggest flaw in the game of the person sitting next to you? And if you were to take me out on a date, where would we go and what would we do? So, to answer all of those, my best strategic play this game, I would say, had to be all of the work that I did to cushion myself with several allies this game. I said that weird. Cushion myself with several allies this game. Like, my social game was my best aspect, honestly. Like, I don't think there's any singular play that I did that was my best, but, like, overall, the work that I did to really, really cushion myself with alliances with individual allies, I think that was the best thing I did throughout the game. I stayed loyal to people. I built a lot of trust that kept me very well alive the whole game. My worst move had to be the Shane vote. I was so gung-ho on getting Joe out that I hadn't ended up sussing anything out yet. I really trusted Sophie, and Sophie really trusted Bailey, where Bailey and I didn't really have an established relationship at that point, and I trusted Hunter, so I was like, all right, you know, we've got our group. I was one of the parts of bringing that group into, the Jeremy Alliance side, and that ended up being a big mistake because I didn't know Sophie had an idol, and I didn't know that Bailey was going to cross our alliance to not vote Joe, because I figured, Hunter's voting Joe. Hunter and Bailey are, like, super close, so I don't see that being a thing, and I just straight up didn't see Sophie wanting to defend Joe because Sophie was also talking gung-ho about, yeah, Joe's a threat. Joe needs to go. Let's get Joe out. So I did a lot of work to get a lot of people openly against Joe, which opened up a whole range of targets for Joe and anyone working with Joe. I feel a little bit guilty about that one. Had no clue Shane was going to go out. Had no clue an idol was going to be played again. R.I.P. Shane. That That sucked. I did not want you gone at all. I had no clue about it. So I am very sorry. I do feel like that was a big part my fault. So, yeah, I got a whole load of people on board, and that opened an easy opportunity for Sophie and Bailey to cross the alliance. Where I do feel bad about that, ultimately, you know, I couldn't have known. This is the preface going into the next part of the question. I don't regret anything that I did this whole game, honestly. The game is like Survivor's Survivor. Things are going to happen. There's a whole lot of information that is unknown to all of us from all different sides of things. We can only play with what we do know. So I did everything that I felt I needed to do to keep myself going, to get myself here to the end. I did everything I felt I needed to do. So I don't regret a single thing I did. If things could have gone differently in any aspect, honestly, it would have all depended on how certain situations went. Like with you approaching me, you and Raven both approaching me to take out Sophie. Had we not been so far in where taking out Sophie would have opened up Joe, potentially you, I would assume most likely you, Bailey, and Hunter to just straight take me out because, you know, I wasn't as close to especially you and Joe and Bailey. Had it not been for that, had we still, like, if we still would have had numbers moving forward and been very solidified, I would have been a lot more willing to take out Sophie because I knew, especially with the information that Raven had just given me before you approached me, that came from you and Joe talking about Sophie's idol play. I would have worked with you guys to take her out. So anything going differently would have depended on situations like that. Had there been better openings, safer openings for me to make moves with you guys, I would have done it. But as for the way things did go, there's nothing that I would do differently looking back on it, except for maybe that whole Shane vote. Maybe I would have tried to, you know, keep the two alliances from intermixing and would have tried to be a little more careful moving forward. But I don't know offhand of just thinking what could have gone differently and how in a way that would have still gotten me here to Final Tribal Council. You know, I'd take a lot of sitting down and thinking out, strategizing, you know, a whole bunch of what ifs, but none of that matters really. As for the biggest flaw in the game of the person sitting next to me with Hunter, had to be his absolute vendetta against Dawson. He was really worried, like desperately worried about us lying to him. We all wanted Dawson gone. Dawson was definitely like on the outs with everybody. Obviously, like no one came to Dawson with any strategy. So Dawson just threw out a random name for a vote. Happened to be me. So that made all of us a bit tense, and we were like, all right, that's kind of threatening. That needs to go. We got to get Dawson out because throwing out random name votes is not good, and not being allied with anyone was not good because that just basically meant whoever would come to Dawson would listen to. And that could have been disastrous for us. So we wanted Dawson gone, but we wanted Joe gone first. Joe was an actual threat. He needed gone first. But Hunter was really worried because he had said that he had seen a few times before that people had promised to take out the goat and then instead brought the goat all the way to Final Tribal Council with them. And I think he said, like, he saw the goat win. I think that was the big kicker for it. Either that or they brought the goat and then it caused them to win themselves because they brought the goat. So he was afraid. He said, you know, he kept saying over and over and over and over and over again, if we don't take out Dawson now, we never will. I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen. People promise to take out the goat. They don't. The goat makes it to Final Tribal Council. If we don't take him out now, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. I promise you we'll take out Joe next, but we need to take out Dawson now. And I was like, dude, we all want Dawson gone. None of us are lying to you. Like, none of us are trying to play with you like that. None of us are trying to cross you. we all want him gone. We just want the threat gone first. And he just kept freaking out. He was like, no, no, no. If you guys don't do it now, you never will. I've seen this happen. No one's going to take him out. No one's going to take him out. And like, he seemed really freaked out about that. That's not a good way to be. Like, I understand being worried about that. But when you have a whole alliance that's telling you like, yeah, we absolutely don't want this person here for these reasons, and we're absolutely on board with it. We just want to take out a big threat first. Like, you got to trust your alliance. You can't get desperate and freak out and then try to control the whole thing to take out someone who really wasn't a threat over someone who was a big threat. Like, someone who, here at the end, completely changed our decisions. Because, as I had mentioned answering Sophie's questions, we had talked about, with it being a final 3, bringing Bailey with us, getting Joe and Sophie out. But then Joe got immune and caused us to have to scrap that. So we had to take out Bailey. And that kind of really changed things up a bit. Thankfully, we managed to get Joe out next. But like, Joe's constant immunities kept changing everything in the end. And that would not have happened with anyone else had we just taken out Dawson first and then Joe. Plus, had we just taken out Joe first, all of that shit with Jonald wouldn't have happened. But part of me is kind of glad it went that way, because like it was good to get that out. Like that ended up being not a good situation. But before all of that happened, you know, Jonald was a big part of our alliance to me. He was a big ally for me. So it's just that whole freak out fear that somehow Dawson was going to be brought to Final Tribal Council to either win or to help someone else win. Like that fucked a lot of stuff up. And like that I think was Hunter's biggest flaw, honestly, like really, truly, honestly. Because we would have literally taken out Joe and then immediately taken out Dawson. That was the plan. No one was straying from that at all. Everything would have been fine. And then the question of, if I were to take you out on a date, where would we go and what would we do? 2 scenarios. First one, if you have an interest in trying alcohol when you're 21, I would wait until you were 21, and I would take you out to fucking Buffalo Wild Wings, and we would have some bomb-ass fucking wings. I've been craving B-dubs lately. Like, this is big thing on my mind right now. Go to B-dubs, have some bomb-ass fucking wings, and I would open you up to a whole world of fucking, like, great alcohol, not all the fucking trash beer that everyone thinks, you know, you gotta be a man and just drink beer. Like, nah, fuck that. We're drinking some fruity, frozen margaritas, drinking all the good fruity drinks, you know, the Buffalo Zoo, all of that shit. We would have a good time. And once I got drunk enough, we would absolutely be singing our hearts out, karaokeing for the whole restaurant. It's funny because I'm a very antisocial, very, I can't think of the word, an introvert. I'm an introverted person. I don't like having attention. I don't like talking to people. I don't like people like paying attention to me. But when I'm drunk, singing for people, doing all that shit, great fucking time. We would have a blast with that if you were interested in that kind of thing. If you weren't, then I would still say B-dubs, at least for the wings. And then we would go out to a zoo or a museum to go see some happy shit, some cool shit, some art, whatever. And probably go afterwards. Again, I'm an introvert. This is weird that I'm thinking of this stuff and that it sounds fun. But going out to like a fancy clothing store. And we would get all stylish and shit. Take lots of pictures, being all styled up in all the fucking like $3,000 coats and shit. Just having a good time, you know? It'd be fun. That'd be a bomb ass date if I were to take you out on a date, Colin. Yeah. God, I'm awkward as shit. And then your last question: what do you feel was your ideal Final Tribal Council situation and why? So that really depends on the definition of ideal that you're going for. Because ideal for an easy win for myself, the ideal win would be sitting here with Dawson, Raven, or Lolo. Honestly, like I feel like I would just have the easiest chance winning against one of the 3 of them. So that would be ideal for that. Ideal for feeling satisfied with who I'm sitting with is this right here, sitting with Hunter, or sitting here with Sophie. I was close to both of them. They both played a damn good game, and it's satisfying to sit here with Hunter. It's satisfying knowing that I got all this way with someone that I really, really respect, who played hard, who I was close to, and it would be the same situation with Sophie. And the ideal final tribal council would have been with the two of them. I'd honestly, like, I'd be happy losing to either or both of them. Like, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that I'm here with Hunter. This is ideal. And ideal for having, like, a real good social challenge, like how I feel Hunter and I are on very equal ground for this final tribal council. A good social person to be sitting here against would be Shane. I would love to be sitting here with Shane, honestly. Shane's a fucking awesome dude. And everyone loves him. I know everyone loves him. I fucking love him. It would be cool to sit here with him and, like, get to battle that out on a social aspect. So it all just... It all comes down to what you are defining as ideal final tribal council situation. Yeah. That's that. On to Dawson's question. If you had to describe yourself as a fruit, what fruit would you be? That is a good fucking question there, buddy. I feel like I would describe myself as a pomegranate, honestly, because they're my favorite fruit, and I feel like I relate to them. You know, they're a bit difficult to get into at first. Then once you do, it's filled with all of these different seeds. You know, it's not like straight juice that you can suck out or anything that you can straight just like bite into like an apple or anything. Like you have to get all of these little seeds out. You eat the seeds. Each seed is covered in this little layer of fruit juicy goodness and whatnot. So it's like, it's a bit tedious to get into. It takes work to eat, but the more effort you put into it and the more you get out of it, the more worth it is. Like, you get so much out of it. And I feel like that's me. I'm this weird autistic introvert, and I'm really hard to crack into with all my social anxieties and, you know, being as shelled up as I am with things. But once you get me open, each little seed that you pull out of me, I can just like really let out a lot of like emotion, a lot of you know, passion and information about things. You know, like a lot of people who get to see the deeper side of me have talked about how much they absolutely love it, and that I can be, you know, people's favorite person or one of their favorite people to talk to. You know, like it's just the more you can get out of me, like apparently the better it is. You know, I give a lot once you can crack me open. It just takes the work. So yeah, definitely if I could describe myself as a fruit, it would be a pomegranate for that reason. All right, Shane's question. Please describe the other man's game and how he got this far and what did he do right. So Hunter, I feel, had a real underdog story. Poor guy was stuck with his tribe, going to tribal after tribal after tribal after tribal in the beginning. Like we kind of really we kind of fucked them over with challenges in the beginning. I feel bad, but he had a plan in mind. You know, once it came to swap, he had the plan to come reaching out to several of us, opening up his options for keeping himself safe and working with different people to make things happen. And he also had his, you know, his revenge plan against you for taking out one of his tribe members. So, you know, he came in with a plan, and he made those plans happen. He worked hard. He played hard. He did what he needed to do to get himself forward. He's here with me at Final Tribal Council for a reason. Like, Hunter really, really played well. He had a good social game. He even had a good challenge game. You know, he got an individual immunity where I did not. He dethroned Joe. That was like one of the most important wins of the end of the season. He was also on the right side of like all of the votes. He kept himself on the right side of all of the numbers throughout the whole game. You know, he played good. That's what I feel that he did right. It was just everything that he did with a plan, he did right. So yeah. So on to Lolo's question. I'm bored, and since y'all didn't do the rites of passage, shaking my head. Yeah. Apparently Sophie said that was kind of a joke. suggestion, and we didn't really know what to do with it. And then I had a plan to actually do something with it, but then, I had really not good real life stuff pop up that took precedence. Like, I didn't even get to take part in the final challenge. That's a whole thing. But thank you for bringing this up, because I wanted to do this. So, what better time to do this than now? So yeah, you want us to give an award to each juror and say why the person deserves the award. Can be any you want. Just don't give you the dumber than a bag of hammers. Don't worry, I'm not going to give you the dumber than a bag of hammers. I'm going in the same order that Hunter did, unintentionally. I looked at it after I typed it out, because I was actually formatting everyone's questions from the bottom up. So I also, or I think it was bottom up, or maybe it was, I don't know. I went one direction with them, and then I went the opposite direction answering your question about the challenges, the awards. So yeah, same order that Hunter did. Starting off with you, I'd give you the artist award, buddy. We didn't work together too long before your fall, but you did share with me some of your art, and I really truly enjoyed that. Like, that was awesome. That was a great experience. I ended up gushing about that in my confessional quite a bit. It was wonderful getting to see the art that you were doing. Thank you for sharing that with me. So yeah, you would get the artist award because you are the season's artist for sure. Like, you deserve that. You got that. You own that. Shane, I would give the best friend award because Shane's so goddamn lovable. I didn't see a single person ever have anything wrong with him at all. Honestly, I felt the most threatened by him early on, like very early on, with how much I loved him and how much everyone else loved him. I was like, holy shit, big fucking threat to the end of my game. I'll have to take him out like sometime midway after merge. But then the behind our backs plan, RIP Shane, way too early. So yeah, Shane would get the best friend award because of just how lovable he was from all of us. Dawson, I would give the kindred award. Same reason as Hunter's, honestly, because amidst all of the chaos that was going on in this game, talking to Dawson was like, it literally, it was so relieving. It was the most relaxing, easiest thing to do was just go talk to Dawson, forget everybody else, forget all of the chaos. Like, Dawson is wonderful. Kindred spirit, so you get the kindred award. Colin, I believe I gave you 2 awards. Yeah, I did. I gave you 2 awards. One of them is the adult award because you got voted out on your birthday. I'm sorry. You deserve something good out of that, so you get the adult award for going out on your 18th. Happy belated birthday, buddy. I'm sorry again. Also, you get the operator award because you made efforts to make big moves with different groups in the game. Like, you had your side that I perceived you as being mainly loyal to, but you were willing to cross that line and make some moves with other people and make things happen. So, get the operator award for that. Raven, giving you the informant award. You worked with me and you gave me information that really, truly helped me shape my end game tremendously. Like, I would not have operated the way that I did without the info that you provided me when you did. The information that came from Joe and Colin about Sophie completely changed my end game. I had one plan, and you made me realize that things were not exactly what I thought they were, and that they were more of what my paranoid brain was seeing earlier on, and confirmed that for me. So you changed me. You did a good thing. So yeah, you get the informant award for that. Bailey, you get the frenemy award. It was clear that you and I were not very aligned. We were in an alliance together, but we were not aligned. We wanted totally different things. We were loyal to totally separate sides of the game. But, you still kept it chill. The little bits that we did talk, you were really, really nice. You were still friendly. You were a friend through this thing, despite being, one of my in-game enemies. So yeah, you get the frenemy award for that. Joe, I am awarding the Spectre award because you're like a fucking ghost. You know, you were straight ghost mode most of the game, and yet you came out and you dominated a lot of shit. Like you dominated some challenges, and you kept a really good alliance at your side throughout most of the game. Like you may have been ghost mode, but you were definitely a Spectre because you were shaking shit up. You were causing some things to happen. Sophie, yours is I think the most interestingly named one because I couldn't think of a good short name for it. So your award I named the Not So Saintly Savior Queen Award. You had my back through the game, the whole game. Even if your end game was with Hunter instead of me, I would not be here if it were not for you. Honestly, that idol play that you made on me with the final idol, that saved my ass. I would not have survived. That would have been me gone. There's no doubt about that. There's no denying that. So I owe my being here to you. You know, you're our goddamn queen. But I was also aware of your Joe idol play. I knew you were operating behind enemy lines and, you know, controlling a lot of the game. So I had to play very, very carefully with you. I had to stay close to you and make sure that I didn't cross you in any kind of way. So that's where the not so saintly part comes in because you were working behind enemy lines, and I knew about it. But hands down, you were one of the best players of the entire season. Like I said, you're a fucking queen. I owe everything to you, honestly. So that's your award. And with that is the end of the questions, finally. I rambled for 51 fucking minutes. Jesus Christ. I am sorry. So yeah, I don't have any cool big outro. Just gonna say, you know, it's 52 minutes now. Hope I answered everything. Like I said, if there's anything that you guys want clarified, feel free to ask, and I will clarify in your questions channel. All right.